All right, let's go indeed. Welcome in everybody to another episode of the Strength for Your Purpose podcast. Can't thank you enough for joining in and listening. Last week had a great little talk about actually taking more breaks during our day and having that actually make us more productive. That's what we talked about last week. Ironically enough, that's pretty similar to what you heard on the podcast the last time today's guest was on. And this is her first time as a guest, but she was on as part of a workshop, and I threw the audio from that workshop up on the podcast here for you all to listen to, so you will recognize her voice when she starts talking. But today's guest is Dr. Andrea Smith, or Dr. Andrea, from Synaptic Chiropractic here in Westbrook, Maine. Dr. Andrea is a chiropractor, health advocate, and stress specialist. She was first introduced to chiropractic care when working as a massage therapist in a chiropractic office. She was able to observe the incredible changes people were having with consistent chiropractic care and lifestyle changes. A graduate of Life University in Atlanta, Georgia, where along with her chiropractic degree, she received advanced training in BioGeometric Integration. Dr. Andrea is focused on assessing how the physical, chemical, and emotional stress that we encounter daily is affecting our nervous system and how we can work together to create a better quality of life for you through chiropractic care. Dr. Andrea, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Phil. I'm so excited to be here. This is awesome.
Of course, I'm excited to dive into this conversation a little bit more because, as I said, we collaborated on that great neck pain, posture, and home office ergonomics workshop recently.
Awesome.
And got a lot of good feedback about that, and wanted to bring you back on and have a bit more of a discussion about the unique way that you help people within your chiropractic care, which we were kind of chatting about a little bit here before we started recording. So tell people a little bit about what you do at Synaptic Chiropractic, how it might be a little different than the way that they have traditionally seen or thought of or experienced chiropractic care, and how that can help people.
Hi everybody. Dr. Andrea Smith is Synaptic Chiropractic. So basically, a lot of my chiropractic practice is based on how the stressors in our lives are affecting our bodies, our health, and our nervous system. So you'll meet chiropractors all over the world. Some down the road from me, some down in the next state for me, and every chiropractor you meet is probably going to be a little bit different. Phil can probably say, every physical therapist you meet is going to be a little bit different.
Sure.
We all sort of focus in on the same general principles, but from there we kind of branch out and go with our own different techniques and how we assess the spine, how we assess the nervous system. My focus since I was in school and then my advanced training was on the stress response system of the body and how that was affecting people's overall health. We all probably know from at least the last 2 years, if not longer, but especially these last 2 years, is that the outside stress, the world stress, is actually coming in and affecting our personal stress. It's creating personal stress for us now.
Sure, 100%.
Yeah. So we have people who are having a constant, what we call sympathetic reaction. So a constant fight or flight response. Whereas normally, like, we would have a fight or flight response, you'd be in a stressful or dangerous situation, you would have that fight or flight sympathetic response, which you should have. That's a natural, healthy thing to have if you're in an extreme stress or dangerous situation,
right?
Because it's telling your body, I either need to fight this, stay here and fight it, or I need to flight it and run away,
right?
And so your body has all these like physiological reactions when that happens. But what if you're constantly being stimulated and that's never ending for you, and you constantly feel like your body is either in fight or flight mode and you don't know which one to do because it doesn't stop for you. So that's what we focus in on at the office. And how we do that is we do what we call, it's a neuroinfinity response scan. So we're actually hooking you up to a neuroinfinity. It's a stress response evaluation. So we're actually checking for different brainwave activity, as well as heart rate variability, skin conductance. So like the clamminess of your hands, because when we have that stress response, our blood is shunted to our muscles more so that we can run versus our skin, so the surface areas. So we get those clammy, cold hands. I'm sure, Phil, if you've ever, spoken in front of a large crowd or like had a big board exam or anything like that, like your
Right.
hands get sweaty. You're like,
Right. Yeah.
God, what's happening?
Right.
So through the neuroinfinity response test, we can sort of see how this long-term stress has been affecting your body, and then talk about a way that my patients and I can work together to help achieve their best overall optimal health and not so much decrease their stress, because I don't live in your life. I can't go into your life and tell your kids to stop yelling at you, or tell the driver in front of you to slow down. But we can give you the tools, and by adjusting the spine, I actually use a more low force technique in chiropractic. So in chiropractic, I want to say, and I could be misspeaking, but I believe there's over 100 different chiropractic techniques on how we adjust the spine.
Oh, wow.
So there's some chiropractors where they're a little more like what we call sort of traditional chiropractic, which is, and all forms of chiropractic work. They're amazing. It's just what resonates with the practitioner and then with the patients that seek them out.
100%.
I'm sure you see that in your practice as well.
You know? All the time.
Yeah. So I always resonated with more of a low force, gentle approach to chiropractic, because my whole thing is it doesn't take much. And as again, you've probably seen this, good or bad, to affect the body. Like it can happen from, taking your shirt off or tying your shoes, and all of a sudden like things go haywire.
Right.
That usually means there was a lot going up until then, and that's when the symptoms get produced, when you just make that right move at the wrong time.
Right. The straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. Right.
Exactly.
Pun probably intended.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I love all back related puns. So yeah, I work with an instrument called an arthrostim, which is a mechanical adjusting instrument that moves at several rates per second, so that we can adjust specific joints in a specific way, instead of just kind of not guessing, but not being as specific, which I really enjoy. And I usually tend to attract clients who are either one, have never been to a chiropractor and are very nervous about being adjusted, because everybody's heard every horror story of everything, but no need to be nervous going to the chiropractor. It's very safe, would take care of you.
Right.
I can just get that out there. But yeah, I do a gentle force adjusting. And then I also do a little bit of muscle work, not too much, because I really want to focus in on the nervous system and the adjustment. So that's why I have wonderful people like you to refer to when there's things that I know my patients need help with that are outside of what I can offer them. So I'm happy that I'm able to refer my patients to you as well. But that's sort of where we're at. And then after every 12 visits, we rescan our patients to show them the improvements that they're having, and how that with the adjustments, with some lifestyle changes, with some decreased screen time, with some help with sleep patterns and things like that, that they can have these leaps and jumps in how their body responds to stress. Not taking away your stress, because I can't do that.
Right.
But we can help your body learn how to respond better to that stress response, and have appropriate levels of stress response. So that's sort of where we're at.
Yeah. I love that. The emphasis you're putting on the response to stress, because you're right. There's so much in our life that we have literally zero control over. I talk a lot in, on the podcast and in other promotional things that I do and with my clients, that there are no absolutes in what I do or like things that you do either, in healthcare in general. The one thing that is an absolute in this realm that we're talking about here is that there are so many things we can't control, right? Like if there's one absolute in what we do in healthcare, there are so many things ourselves as providers and them as the client patient have zero control over, right? So, yeah, I like to frame it in making that area or their body in general more resilient to what life is throwing at them. And yeah, I love what you
Yeah.
said about the stress response. I think that's super important. Another thing I really love that you said, because, and you could certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but throughout
Go
my
for it.
career, throughout my career, I've heard this a few different times that this, and it varies a lot, but I
Yeah.
think the way that you're approaching things by actually giving people to work on for those lifestyle changes
Yeah.
is a little different than a traditional average chiropractic visit or plan of care, I guess we could call it, because I think that's one of
Yes.
the biggest things that I've heard is, oh, I feel better, but I don't really have things to do in between to keep improving some of those things. So talk to me a little bit more about some of those things you like to do for people to help them, and how that might be different than what people might have experienced with working with a provider in your field in the past.
So I mean, and well, another to hit on, like, other some chiropractors and not all, it's just totally depends on technique. What we hear the most
Sure.
of or what I hear a lot of when I see new patients is they're like, am I going to have to keep coming back? I heard that chiropractor is going to make me keep coming back to see them. And
Right.
that's a stressful thing for them,
Mm.
because they're thinking money, time, like, do I have to keep, am I never going to get better? Am I never going
Right.
to do this?
Yeah. Why keep
My
doing
whole thing
this if
with
it's only going to
chiropractic,
get me so much better? Right.
yeah, or if I get better, why do I have to keep coming?
Right. Right. Exactly. Right.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my whole thing with that is that I'm you can correct me if I'm wrong as far as physical therapy goes, is that we want to see a little more in the beginning, generally because there's a complaint that you're coming in with, there's
Right.
something that brought you in to see us or made you make that call.
Mm.
So we need to get to the underlying thing. We don't want to just treat the symptom. We want to get to the cause of that.
Mm.
So what we're focusing on is correcting the cause, and then watching as the symptoms usually
Mm.
generally dissipate, which is wonderful.
Right.
Um, I've found that chiropractic is incredible for this. It's so wonderful for that. But there's
Yeah.
also things that need to be changed as far as your lifestyle goes. So probably the most prevalent things, or the top three things that I see for people, are screen time is
Mm.
huge. Because being on screens, I mean, you and I, we're doing this right now. We're on
Right
a
now.
screen,
Right.
but I'm gonna get off of this, and once I do, I'm gonna do like a 5-minute little stretch to like work my neck out before I go to bed, and like just kind
Mm.
of breathe and take some time. But what I generally will tell people is, I need you off your screens at the bare minimum 30 minutes before you go to bed at night,
Mm.
just because of how looking at a screen, what's going on with it, what you're watching is also going to affect
Mm.
this, but it stimulates areas of your brain that do not need to be stimulated that late at night.
Yeah.
So to get a restful sleep, you need to go into a calmer place. Reading is usually great, journaling,
Mm-hmm.
doing some meditative breathing, just kind of focusing in, thinking about your day, and then just unwinding 30 minutes before bed instead of
Mm-hmm.
watching TV or looking at your phone
Mm.
as you're falling asleep. Like, I mean, how many of
Right.
us, I'm guilty of this sometimes too, fall
Mm-hmm.
up with my phone in the bed with me.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it doesn't usually bode well for a restful night's sleep. You might have
Right.
slept, but getting to those deep like theta waves where you're getting into those REM cycles of sleep, and you're really getting
Mm.
that healing. Your body heals when it's at rest.
Right.
So if you're not getting restful sleep, then your body's not healing as properly as it could, or as
Mm.
quickly as it could.
Right.
That's the number one thing that I try to talk to people about, and especially for the kiddos,
Huge.
like
Yeah.
tablets, all that stuff. Like,
Their sleep is
get them off of that 30 minutes before bed.
Yeah. Their sleep is like that much more important than it is for us adults who are fully developed, right? Like they're not only
Oh yeah.
they're not only healing their bodies and and decreasing inflammation and things like that in their body during their sleep, like we are as adults, but they're actually creating connections, the synapses in their brain, and developing, and it's so important for them.
100. I could not agree more. Agree more. The second thing I would say is hydration. So I will generally talk to people. I'll be like, so it's one of my first questions in my new patient exam. So talk to me about how much water you drink, or how much, what you're drinking during the day to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about getting water. It's about getting those electrolytes in as well. And I'm not talking about Gatorade.
Right.
But yeah. But, and most people would be like, oh, I do really well with my water. And I was like, okay, well, tell me how much water you get in. And they'll usually have a water bottle with them, or they'll point to one that I have in my office and they'll be like, I get like 2 of those a day. I'm like, okay, so that's 24 ounces of water.
Right.
And I'm looking at, say, like, 180-pound person. And I'm like, no. No, it's an incredible effort. It's a wonderful start to your day to get that water in or get that hydration in. But I'm generally seeing that we are all pretty chronically dehydrated throughout the day.
Yeah.
Which is gonna, slow down our energy stores. We're gonna start pulling from other places for that energy. That's when we're gonna start snacking on things that don't fuel our brains because we're feeling sluggish. And it's really like, okay, if you could just, have a little extra water, like, could that energy be restored for you? And therefore, would you have a better response to these fight or flight situations? So that's one of the other things that I noticed. And then, again, for people is their work-life stress balance. So, and especially right now where a lot of people are working from home, the work-life stress balance is non-existent because they're working from home and then they're home right there. So there's no disconnect. There's no time off. There's no nothing. So I'm sure you see this as well.
That and the tablets and phones, right? Having all, I mean, I can access pretty much my entire everything I do for work right here. So and that's true for most people. And on top of that, I work primarily out of my home. So not only does my work day happen, like I sleep over there. My desk is here. I sleep over there, and I can literally practically run my practice off of my phone. So it's huge. It's huge to take that time to disconnect in that regard, for sure.
Yeah, because think about it, like most of us, like, I mean, I still, because I go from home to office, so I have a separation. I have about, a 45-minute drive home every night. So I have that time to kind of decompress, listen to a podcast, sing out loud to music. I'm that crazy person you'll see singing out loud in their car, like I'm at a rock show. But
same here.
Awesome. But a lot of people don't even have that like 30 to 45 minutes anymore, or that 15 minutes. Like, and so that's where I talk to people about creating that space for yourself. Like, when you get off of that computer, if there is a way possibly for you to do like a 20-minute walk outside, or get in your car and go for a drive down the road, like do something to like end your day at work and then be home.
Right.
Like,
oh, that's a great tip.
Yeah, because there's just no disconnect anymore. And sometimes we need that separation. So for some people it works. It's great. It's incredible. This is obviously like not for every single person, but that's just what I found. And giving those people some of those smaller tips small steps can create larger changes over time.
Yes.
And it's just about, I think, being patient with yourself and with your body and with the healing process is hard sometimes, but having that patience can be so important. And just knowing that it usually took you a while to get into this position. So it might take you a little bit of time to get out of that.
But the great part about it is, by doing those smaller steps and gaining more and more traction with every small step you make, most of the time, I know I see this with what I'm working on with people on a day-to-day basis, and I know you do too. most of the time it takes significantly less time to get out of that situation when we do all of the right things at the same time than it did to get you into the situation. Right?
100%.
A lot of people that you and I see on a day-to-day basis, it took them probably decades to get into the situation that they're in right now. And it can take as little as like weeks to months to get them clear of it,
100%.
And then it's just consistency over time to keep it that way. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep. And that's where like we talk to people about chiropractic maintenance care. Is that once we've sort of gotten you out of what I call it in my office, putting out the fire. Like, let's put out the fire, let's lower the flames, let's like get the embers just kind of in that orange zone and put some water on it and get that. And then your body's feeling so incredible. So my whole thing is, don't you want to feel incredible all the time?
Right.
So it's like kind of like when you've done a workout program and you've gotten in this incredible shape, do you just stop working out? Do you just stop eating healthy? No, you keep doing those things because it feels so good to you. But my whole thing is like, after a certain period of time, I don't need to see you all the time. I need to see you once a month or once every 3 weeks, depending on where you're at in your life.
Right.
We want to change the oil on the car. Like, your body is a machine. Yeah. We just want to check into it, make sure everything's aligned properly, make sure that you're focusing in on your stress techniques or de-stress techniques.
Right.
And working on those, and then send you on your way, and then we'll see you for your next maintenance visit. And that's where people I think get a little worried about chiropractic is, am I going to have to keep going? It's like, no, you are always willing to stop care. It's whatever you choose. Right. But we always recommend, a maintenance program for people just to help support them, to know that they have somebody on their team. So.
Guidance, accountability, and kind of helping move that needle forward. No, I agree with that. 100%. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I'm over here taking notes for myself, Andrea. I'm like, I just laid out all these things that, how I work here, I sleep here, I've got my whole life on my phone, and I'm over here going, man, how can I find time in the day to read? Because I want to read more, right? That was one of my big, New Year's resolutions. I wanted to read more. And I'm like, how can I find time for that? And I'm like, well, right before you go to bed, you're scrolling through your phone for 20 minutes, maybe read 10 pages in that 20 minutes and you're good. There's your time. There's nothing on that phone that's going to do anything for you 20 minutes before bed. But 10 pages of a book that you're into might do a world of wonders. So
yes, there are no problems that you can solve 20 minutes before you're about to fall asleep. So just put it away,
read a book, and fall asleep peacefully.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Give yourself that break. Like, we all deserve a break. Like, I feel like we're a society that's sort of like, just go, 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 go. Don't stop. Fill every moment, with something, be productive, do this, do that.
Right.
And the world will do that for us, but we have to create those breaks for ourselves to take that time to rest our bodies and our minds.
Right. So. Sure. 100%. Yeah, no, that couldn't be closer to the truth. That's perfect. So what does a normal visit in your office look like, right? You talked a little bit about some of the techniques you use and the scanning you use to pick up on that sympathetic response so that you can help people de-stress and help the effects of that stress, that chronic stress on their body. Yep. So what can people expect when they come to when they first come to see you?
So what you're going to do in a first patient visit, you'll come in, you'll fill out paperwork, we'll take you back. I perform a physical exam where I run you through some orthopedic tests. We check blood pressure. And we check a lot of other things and do in the physical exam. Then we set you up with a neuroinfinity stress response evaluation to see where you're at. I talk to you about chiropractic. I always ask, I want people to leave with their questions answered on their first visit. A lot of times that's hard for people because they're like, a lot just happened. I can't even process it.
Sure.
And that's why we have what I call on your second visit is your report of findings. So I take the time to go through your stress response evaluation, what has come up with that. I look at that, then based off that, plus your physical exam, I come up with a care plan or a treatment plan for you. I give you my recommendations, and then the patient is able to ask me more questions at that point. And that's my whole thing, is becoming a chiropractor. A lot for me was about, I felt like I would go into like any kind of healthcare setting, like even, some massage therapists I was seeing like back in the day, like any healthcare. And I just felt like sometimes I wasn't getting, or I didn't felt like I didn't have the time to have my questions answered, because it was just like quick, quick, quick. And I always want my patients to feel like they've had their questions answered, or if I can't answer them, because I'm not an encyclopedia.
Right.
Sometimes I wish I was.
Right.
That I can tell them, I might not have the answer, but I really want to find that for you, and or find you the person that could answer that better for you.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing, is that I just want people to feel comfortable and supported in their healthcare, and not scared or nervous or rushed. I just don't want people to feel rushed. So that's what our report of findings is about answering those questions, giving them the information on what we found in their last appointment, and then coming up with a treatment plan.
Yeah.
And then from there, we start with treatment, and we get you adjusted on that second visit. Where I differ a lot from other chiropractors is that I adjust based off of how the patient is. So if I have a patient that comes in and they're like, I have pain when I sit, not when I stand, but when I go from sitting to standing, I have pain. So a lot of times I'll evaluate the body. So if you've been to a chiropractor before, a lot of times you're going in, you're laying down on a table, they're assessing your spine, which is wonderful. I do that as well. Too.
Sure.
But I also assess you in the position that you're having the discomfort and pain in.
Fantastic.
Because we need to see how your body is functioning. So a lot of the times I will actually do my adjustments with the patient standing up with gravity, because they're having pain while moving. They're having pain while doing this.
It just makes sense.
I've adjusted patients. I've had them bring their golf club in and set up, because they're like, when I set up to golf, it hurts here, here, and here. I'm like, well, let's check and let's see your posture. Let's see how you're positioning yourself. How are you gripping?
Yeah.
Let's see how the joint is acting in that position.
Sure.
And then adjust based on that. So working within the tension of the nervous system, rather than having it all relaxed while they're laying down, which is amazing, because sometimes I do need to lay people down still.
Right.
And then having them get up and be like, ooh, okay, like, and see, okay, how does it feel now? It's like, oh, let's just check you while you're standing, and cut out the middleman.
Sure.
So that's where it's a little bit different than other chiropractors. There are plenty of chiropractors that do that as well. But it's just a little bit different than some more traditional chiropractic. Not better or worse, just different.
Yeah, sure. No, I love it.
Exactly.
The saying goes, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? Which is a weird saying.
Yes.
I don't know why you'd want to skin a cat, but that's the saying.
I know. Why are we doing that?
I am not condoning that behavior. That's just the saying. But it just goes to show you that there are a lot of ways that you can get better. And I love what you said kind of at the top of our conversation here, that it's what resonates with you and what's going to resonate best for the person that you're helping. And I've got to say, as someone whose specialty is within movement, adjusting within the movement that's causing the stress makes so much sense, because the body is going to be in that position when the stress is happening. So why would we, yes, there are things you might need to do out of that position to fix the problem too, but not getting that person into that position where it's painful and addressing why it's painful there. If we're not doing that, I think we're missing the boat. So, 100%. That's great.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I have 2 more questions for you, but before I ask you these questions that I ask all of the guests that come on the podcast, how can people find you? What's the best way for people to reach out to learn more about you, learn more about Synaptic Chiropractic? How do they get a hold of you?
So you can go to our website, synapticdc.com. So synapticdc.com, Synaptic DC. You can contact our office at 207-591-0384. Those are the two best ways to get a hold of us. All
Perfect.
emails are answered daily. You can find us on Facebook as well. Synaptic Chiropractic. We're in Westbrook, Maine. I believe there's another one in Ohio, but so we're the one in Maine. And those are the best ways to get a hold of us.
Awesome.
Katie, my office coordinator, is incredible and is at the front desk when you call and can answer so many questions for you. She's a doll. So just give the office a call and we would love to help you in any way that we can or answer any questions that you might have.
Awesome.
You're not quite sure like about chiropractic and what we do and you just want to ask questions. We love to talk. So give us a call.
Great. Wonderful. Awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure we have all of that in the show notes of this episode so that people can easily find that and reach out to you if they have further questions. So last two questions here. Number one, buckle up.
I'm ready.
Number one, what is your definition of strength?
Oh,
I know.
Tricky.
I warned you.
I know. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to like access the brain,
right?
Get the beta waves going. I would say that strength can have many different definitions depending on if you're looking at physical, mental, emotional, but all encompassing. I would just say actually relate it back to what we've already talked about. Is I find that strength is our body and our mind's ability to comprehend and respond to stress and our outside situations and influences in the best possible way for us. And that looks different for everybody. So everybody's strength lies in different areas. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Great answer. Love that. There's no wrong answer. There's no wrong. This isn't a quiz, by the way. There's no wrong answer. I love to hear.
My hands are clammy. My heart is beating a little faster.
I've got someone you can see to help with that.
Oh, cool. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. And the final question is, Dr. Andrea, what is your true purpose in life?
Oh, gosh, I love that question. So my purpose in life is to have, again, referencing back to what we've talked to, is for everybody to feel like they are in control of their health care, and what is going on with their bodies so that they don't feel like they're lost out in the wilderness and have nobody to back them up.
Yeah.
So my purpose in life is to have everybody feel like they have a safe place to come and feel cared for and taken care of. So that would be my purpose.
That's wonderful. And I got to say, you're doing a great job.
Thanks. So are you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Dr. Andrea, can't thank you enough for joining me, coming on, having this really awesome conversation. I love the work that you're doing and just wanted to get that out to more people so that they can learn more about how they can strengthen their true purpose in life through care like this. So thank you very much for coming on.
This is awesome. Thank you so much. We'll have to do a reverse and I'll interview you on your podcast.
You know, you're the first guest to throw that out there, and you know what? I love it. We're gonna set that up for sure. Yeah, we'll set that up.
I'm gonna give you these questions at the end.
All right. Hey, I love it. Let's bring it on. Let's do it. That's a great idea. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you everybody who has downloaded and listened to this. Really appreciate you. If you found as much value out of this episode as I did, please be a friend and tell a friend. Share it with someone you love and care about who can benefit from this information as you did while listening or watching on YouTube. Wave to everybody on YouTube. Hi, YouTube. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned next week for next week's episode. Real excited for some of these great interviews we have coming up for you. So make sure you are subscribed and get those automatic downloads and those notifications for when the new episodes drop on Wednesdays. While you're at it, if you're over on Apple Podcast, I always appreciate those 5-star rate and reviews so that we can get this information in front of more people and help more people strengthen their true purpose in life. Dr. Andrea, thank you again. Thank you everybody for listening. Have a great week.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.